A conversation with the outgoing president of St. Mary's Hospital, Dr. Frank Byrne, this morning on For the Record. Good morning, I'm Neil Heinen. When someone as well-respected as Frank Byrne decides to retire from a prominent position in a field as important in our lives and as dynamic in our country as healthcare, it just cries out for an exit interview. And that's just what we have on tap today. As I welcome to For the Record, Dr. Frank Byrne. And Frank, we start with a picture of what St. Mary's looks like today, and that's not what it looked like 10 years ago when you took over as president. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Neil.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
10 years ago, it was a very, very different scene. And maybe you could just start by talking about where St. Mary's is today compared to where it was when you came.
Well, St. Mary's has been a vital part of this community for 102 years now, going on 103. And one of the things that's made St. Mary's so valuable to the community has been its ability to change with the needs of the community and the patients and families we're privileged to serve, Neil. So as part of that change, St. Mary's had made a commitment to stay in the downtown campus, which was landlocked, and work with the city and the neighborhood to expand on that site. And that decision was made before I got here and really resonated with me during the interview process, being an integral part of the community. I saw in another community where we live, where a south side of downtown hospital campus was abandoned, and it's a blighted area now. You could Google it on Google Earth, and it almost looks like a meteor hit there, and it's a food desert. The grocery store closed, and things of that nature. So being part of the community, the commitment to community, and working with the neighbors and the city to build that beautiful East Wing that also expanded our technical capabilities was a real draw to me.
So when you accepted the offer to come here, you knew you were going to oversee what would probably be a decade of growth and change.
And it was a very exciting time to do this project. And one of the things I think about our healthcare community in general here in St. Mary's in particular is we've been good stewards of the resources entrusted to us to enhance healthcare. So a lot of the capital projects you've seen over the last decade were actually overdue, as our East Wing was. That helped us get to all private rooms. It helped us expand our operating rooms for new technologies, things like the fabulous hybrid room that allows either open surgical procedures or the catheter procedures for the heart and valve repairs and things of that nature. And so the facility was important. Other technical capabilities, adding the Epic electronic health record, which we were the first system in collaboration with Dean to be simultaneously accredited at stage 7 by the Health Information Management System Society, which is the highest level of deployment of the electronic health record. We were the first system ever to be accredited both on the inpatient hospital side as well as on the outpatient side in the clinics. So, and that's been a great tool to advance the quality and safety and efficiency of care.
Frank, as I've talked to people about healthcare in our community over the last 20 years, I've gotten the impression that it is somewhat unique. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but that the sort of regional healthcare system that we have here is kind of special. I've never been pretty good at explaining why that is. But is that accurate? Do you feel that way?
I definitely feel that way, and various leadership roles I've been in, and the American College of Healthcare Executives, American College of Physician Executives, and others have given me a national perspective, and I've had the good fortune to visit many communities around the country. And there's a lot of unique things here in our city and in our state. I would say it begins two words: integrated systems. Doctors, hospitals working together, integrated systems also with the health plan, where those who are privileged to care for patients, as we are at St. Mary's.
And that's still not commonplace as it is here.
Still not common. It's becoming more common of necessity. There's really no way forward in healthcare without full integration and cooperation and thinking about care across the continuum, not only when you're in the hospital and after, but before the hospital, and hopefully keeping people out of the hospital. You know, I kid that, what they call hospital presidents who are excited about keeping people out of the hospital unemployed.
Right.
It's a joke. I mean, here, we as a system have worked hard, and the other systems in our community and state. We've been a national leader in Wisconsin, and in the city, we have a much more collaborative environment. Obviously, we're far from perfect, and we've got a lot of improvement ahead of us and necessary, but it is a pretty unique environment and a very attractive environment. You know, when I called one of my mentors, the late Stan Nelson, who was my predecessor in Fort Wayne and later CEO of the Henry Ford Health System. When I called Stan, when I got called about this job, he said, get up there immediately and look at that, because that's where you want to be, in an integrated environment with the hospitals and the physicians working together with a health plan.
Now, what's the relationship between the integrated system, which is the Madison model, the Dane County model, and as you appropriately say, Wisconsin is a leader in healthcare too. I don't think people a lot of times think of it that way.
You know, if you haven't been other places, I have a surgeon friend in another state who uses the term ingrown eyeballs, Neil, and he says, you know, realize what's unique, what's special, and what are the things that you can enhance. And you know, in the fragmented model of healthcare, it's been well documented that costs are higher, care is less efficient, and frankly, the quality can be challenged as well, because there's lack of coordination of care. And again, I'd be the first one to say we are far from perfect, but we've got a great launch pad for a very exciting future in healthcare in this community, in the state, and our ability to continue to be a national leader.
So how do you describe that then against what sort of the constant barrage of criticism of the healthcare system, concerns, worries about healthcare having to do with cost, having to do with access? Is that overplayed? How do we keep that in perspective, Frank? Because in some cases it's important, and in some cases it is overplayed.
It's not overplayed, in my opinion, and it's not an either nor question. It's both and. So we've got, what I like to say is, and what I like to say to my colleagues at St. Mary's and in our system, Dean and SSM Health, is we have the right platform for the future. So we've got the right launch pad, and we can see a clear path, a difficult path, but a clear path from where we are. Healthcare has got to be safer. It's got to be more efficient. There are new technologies, some of which are actually emerging right here in our very community, that can help make healthcare better, safer, more efficient. We as individuals also, by the way, have to take a greater sense of ownership in our own health. One of the things I found most frustrating as a practicing pulmonary critical care physician, Neil, was when my patients would look at their health as something that I did to them, rather than a partnership where we work together. So we're well positioned for that, and frankly, there are huge challenges. Access is not where it needs to be in terms of access to healthcare. We've made progress, but we still have a long way to go. Cost, you know, over the last 4 years, the cost increase trends have dramatically decreased from double-digit and near double-digit to 3.5%, but it's still not enough. We still have to work harder to rein in costs. And the quality issues, the quality metrics, things are moving in the right direction, though. Pay for performance and quality-based contracting for healthcare providers, things are moving in the right direction.
Well, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about community health care and the role of health care in the community, and we'll do that right after this. I'm back with Dr. Frank Byrne. That's him at the keyboards, where you'll likely see more of him than what you've seen. What you've seen in previous pictures. As Frank Byrne retires from his job as president of St. Mary's Hospital, where he's been for the last 10 years, overseeing a period of remarkable growth for St. Mary's, which has grown its footprint on the south side of Madison and in the community in general, and has really the whole healthcare sector has become such an important part of what we look at as the economic development sort of strategic future for this community. And I remember conversations, Frank, having to do with housing and transportation all around the employees at St. Mary's and Meriter and UW Hospital, which kind of raises the question about the relationship that those three hospitals have in this community. And the idea that what has always struck me is how docs look at St. Mary's and Meriter as community hospitals where they like to practice, while they've got the UW as this sort of big research facility. It's an interesting mix, isn't it?
And the untold secret, Neil, is that we actually have a high degree of cooperation. At St. Mary's, we have strategic partnerships that are very important to us with both Meriter and with the University of Wisconsin, and they have strategic partnerships as well. And it's an untold asset, an untold story in our community that people don't tend to talk about the things that we're doing together cooperatively and as wise stewards of the resources that the community has entrusted to us.
And along that vein, I think all three hospitals have people there who have gotten involved in the community to various degrees, both institutionally and as individuals. But for you, it was kind of a personal thing too.
I had great role models and mentors. The inflection point in my life and career was going from being a practicing pulmonary critical care physician to serving on the hospital board at Parkview in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where we were for 22 years before we came here a decade ago, my family and I. And I saw, when I went on the board of the hospital with other community leaders, bank presidents, the Chancellor of Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne, the CEO of Lincoln Financial Group, other community activists, the head of human resources for International Harvester, the head of human resources for Central Soya, a large multinational agribusiness. I got a very excellent lesson and a vision of how my work fit into the hospital overall and how the hospital fit into the larger community. And I also had great role models like Dave Ritterheim, the CEO of Parkview, and Ian Rowland, the CEO of Lincoln Financial Group, who made it clear that if you were a business leader, you were required and obligated to be a community leader and be engaged and involved in the community. And of course, it's a virtuous circle because that community involvement better informs your perspective so that you make better decisions as a business leader.
I don't know that that would always include for everybody sitting in a dunk tank, as one of the pictures we just saw. Here you are with Michael Johnson.
Yes.
But then, just broadening this a little bit, I get the sense that the United Way and the Madison Community Foundation and the Chamber of Commerce have closer relationships with the healthcare sector as a result of that. Your willingness to serve in that capacity then gives them a closer tie and better understanding of the healthcare sector.
It's what I would call enlightened self-interest for the organization and for yourself. And we've had great role models. Look how engaged Terry Potter, the former, who was a great role model and mentored me when I came to the community. How engaged Terry was in the community. My predecessor, Jerry Leffert, was Donna Sollenberger at UW. I mean, we have a history of healthcare leaders who understand the community. It's especially resonant with me because one of SSM Health's values is community. And we believe in building community not only within the hospital and with the people we're privileged to serve, but with the community at large. The sisters taught us, don't wait. It's one of the creative things that we did was partner with the Sun Prairie community for the freestanding Sun Prairie Emergency Center. And that's going all the way back to 1912 and the sisters opening St. Mary's with the help of Dr. Joe Dean. Don't wait for people to find you. You find them where they are. And we need to do better at that, but things like our Lincoln School adoption, which has been a fabulous partnership. And again, mutually beneficial. It's great obviously for Lincoln School, Dr. Deb Hoffman, one of my heroes, the principal at Lincoln School. It's great for us. We feel better about working at St. Mary's because of the work we do with our Lincoln School partners. Yeah,
and this healthcare sector, I don't know how many of our viewers are aware of this, but planners and people looking at the economic future of this community are more and more promoting our healthcare sector as one of our signature assets. That this is a reason for people to move here, that this is a real growth area for us in terms of strategic economic growth.
And it's not just healthcare delivery. Healthcare delivery is one aspect. Obviously, corporations look at that when they're deciding where to build facilities. And one of the things I know I've advised corporations on this, they look at what is the quality of health care available, how accessible is health care. But health care delivery is really one hand clapping. It's Epic, obviously. You think about what Epic has infused into this community, yep. Asking for no credit, by the way, just going about their business, being an international leader, but the incredible people who come to work at Epic, who fall in love with this community, and then stay and do other things after their time at Epic is over. And a lot of the things that excite me about the future. I mean, we're in an environment here now where we have the ability to create the future, and we have the luxury of being able to think about creating the future. There are a lot of communities around the country where the healthcare delivery systems are worried about how we're going to make it till the end of next week. You know, it's pretty scary in some of the places, and we have the ability here because of the mix we have. And I saw that, you know, on a previous state in Indiana. I've seen the model. I see how this worked. I was involved in the Indiana Health Industry Forum, IHIF.org, which brought together healthcare delivery, the state government, the research universities, venture capitalists and things like that to really accelerate the growth of the healthcare industry. And that's happening here right now.
Yeah. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's next for St. Mary's, for healthcare, and for Frank Byrne right after this. So what were you doing at Culver's?
So that was exciting. For our centennial, we partnered.
Oh, that's right, the flavor.
We partnered with our friends at Culver's, with Paul Pittis and Craig Culver and the team to create a centennial flavor.
That's right.
And naming contest. The winner was right there on camera with us. And the winning name was St. Mary's Centennialicious, which they kept for quite a while. They still offer that flavor. It's a delicious combination of chocolate, marshmallow, and raspberry. Right. And that's called, less exciting to me, chocolate, marshmallow, and raspberry, but still there.
You brought a bunch out to the station. It was a very popular day around here.
We brought a bunch back to the hospital,
I am with Frank Byrne, the soon-to-be retired president of St. Mary's Hospital. We've seen a couple of pictures of you playing music. Frank, obviously, if people have paid any attention, that's something that's very important to you. It's something you and I share is a love for music, although you play it much more competently than I do.
I'm not sure about that.
And you're going to do it more, and you're going to do it more, I trust.
That's right. That's right. So I really enjoy. I've played, took up trumpet in the 5th grade. Yeah. Perhaps foreshadowing the future, one of the first songs I learned was On Wisconsin, in New York City, by the way, where I grew up. And on Staten Island.
A great trumpet song, if ever there was one.
Beautiful trumpet song. And then I became the organist when the band I was in at the time, Sixpence, because it was after the Beatles, they said, yeah, this Herb Alpert music isn't working out at the CYO dances. You can either become the organist or you're out of the band. And I had figured out by that point that playing in a rock band was a less painful way to get dates than playing football, and I wasn't any good at football. So I became the organist for that band, and later Sounds Uncertain, which we just had a reunion of. And now I'm privileged to participate in the Grooving Needles. And my last day at St. Mary's is Friday the 30th, and the 31st I'll be playing with the band here in town.
So this may be obvious, but you and Cindy are staying here.
We love this community. We felt home. Our son Michael, who was 12 when we moved here, and he's now, time flies, a senior in college. Michael observed when we were here about 3 months. He said, you know, Dad, a lot of people have really gone out of their way, and you're in that group, Neil, have gone out of their way to make us feel at home very quickly here in Madison. I thought that was a lot of great insight for a 6th grader. And so we love it here, and that's our plan. This is our base, our home, and we look forward to continuing to be involved in the community, continuing to be involved. I love what's going on in the startup community here, health technology, all these bright folks that are coming up with great ideas, and looking forward to being part of accelerating those ideas and helping them get them to the sharp end, as we call it, in healthcare, where we have the privilege of providing care. You know, let's be honest. This is the 4th wave of disruptive transformational change I've been in my career. I will say in this wave, the pace of change is the greatest, the acceleration around financial stress is the greatest, and the uncertainty is the greatest. And some of the fundamental problems that exist in the healthcare system in terms of equity and outcomes and access to care remain major challenges, but we are part of a community that does have the opportunity to create solutions. And I'm personally committed to working on creating some of those solutions.
You know, we could probably spend a whole other show on this, but just if you can do it in 60 seconds, as people continue to consider the Affordable Care Act and what its future is, do we build on that and go from there? I mean, is that a sound foundation on which to look at the future of healthcare?
So here's what I know for sure, and these are not political statements.
Right.
And I also should disclose that the opinions I express are my personal opinions, and not the opinions of St. Mary's, SSM Health, and Dean. They don't necessarily represent the opinions of my wife, Cindy. Love you, dear. But the facts are that the status quo was not sustainable. Wherever you stand on the political spectrum, if you go back before 2010, 2011, the status quo was not sustainable, and the whole system was going to come crashing down. Now there's major changes. There have been major advances, whatever you attribute them to, the Affordable Care Act. There was no doubt that the quality of health care is getting better. There's no doubt. If you look at the performance metrics, everybody is improving. That has been the goal. Payment models are changing. You're not just paying us healthcare providers for doing things. You're holding us accountable, as we should be, as we're glad to be, for providing high quality care. We have readmissions standards and penalties and things of that nature. So we're making significant progress. One of the healthcare futurists, one of the few healthcare futurists I follow, Ian Morrison, had a great article in September called Urgent Care in Hospitals and Health Networks. And he said, just what I said, but he said, we're not going fast enough. And that's the issue, Neil. We're not going fast enough. Wherever you are on the political spectrum, we're not going fast enough in changing the payment models, in increasing the quality standards, and improving access to care.
30 seconds. Is there room for growth at St. Mary's?
There's definitely room for growth and improvement. We've been privileged, again, for 102 years to be part of the community, but there's always room for growth. There's new programs, new technologies, neurosciences, some of the cardiovascular things we've added. I could go on, but there's definitely room for growth and opportunity, and I look forward, as remaining on the foundation board, of being part of that growth.
Congratulations, Frank.
Thank you,
Enjoy
Neil.
your retirement.
Thank you, and I will be seeing you.
We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this. My thanks to Dr. Frank Byrne, and thank you. We'll see you next Sunday on For the Record.